Hello everybody! On today's video we're going to be taking a look at some N-scale trains. We're going to be looking at N-scale Thomas and N-scale Annie and Clarabelle, N-scale Percy, and a couple of N-scale Troublesome Trucks. So we'll start first with N-scale Thomas. Now Thomas came in a set and we bought this from Amazon. The set itself right now today, this is December 2022, goes for about $142, and it comes with some track, a power pack, Annie and Clarabelle, and Thomas. So that's the set we got here. So as you can see here, for an N-scale train, this is actually pretty well detailed. So we have the typical Thomas paint scheme, as you see, you know, the blue. We have the number 1 with the yellow and red, with red striping on outlining the 1. We have some other red pinstriping kind of around the different areas of the engine, including the little fender. We have some red striping over the top of the boiler, and a little yellow pinstripe accent around the cab windows, which is quite a nice detail. And then of course we have the linkage, the connecting rods here to the 3 wheels. Those are metal, gray decking with the red paint, you know, facing the outside of the decking, and the decking kind of slopes down. You can see there. Yeah, so this is for an N-scale model. This is pretty detailed. Okay, so let's give it a spin. Okay, so looking at the front of N-scale Thomas, you can see here we've got the buffers up front. We have kind of a J coupler, which I think is probably pretty typical of Bachmann N-scale trains. We have the little air line there, right there, and then we have the 3 lamp posts with a lamp on the far left there, painted in white with a little silver where the lens would be on the lamp. Again, this is almost the same detail as the HO Thomas. You know, it's pretty, you know, they're pretty faithful with the different scale reproductions Bachmann is. And then we have, of course, Thomas's smiling face. Now on the N scale, the eyes don't move from side to side like they do with the HO. You know, there's no mechanism in there to do that. If we look back along the front here, you can see the little porthole windows with the yellow paint outline, which is kind of nice. And then the 2 whistles right between those 2 porthole windows. And then you can see the kind of the slightly arched roof. Okay, let's give it a spin. Okay, on this side here, this side is a mirror image of the other side, so there's not a whole lot of additional description here. Again, we got the linkage down there, which is really nice. The paint scheme, of course, carries around, so pretty nice. You get the little coal bunker here, and then these kind of 3 black lines. It's the same on both sides. I'm not sure what those lines would be in real life, but yeah, nice little detail. So let's continue to spin. Okay, in the rear, you've got the just a little hint of those porthole windows on the back of the cab, just peeking above the coal bunker. And then you've got the coal bunker with simulated coal in there, that looks like a nice detail as well. You know, the coal kind of glistens up there at the top, the little individual pieces, which is a nice detail. You got a little non-functioning rear lamp detail here at the back of the locomotive. Again, you've got this little air hose or you know, piece of mechanic right there, looping over the bumper. You've got the black buffers with the red bumper, nice little paint scheme detail there, and then you've got a utility hook back there, and of course the J coupler on the rear. All right, let's bring it around. Okay, so let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Good. Okay, so on the top of the bottom, you can see here we've got working from left to right here. We've got the coal bunker with the coal load detail there, which is nice. The black roof of the cab, and then you've got the red striping spanning over the boiler, and you've got the various domes on the top, and of course the chimney. Yeah, and then you can see a good view here, the gray top of the surface of the decking. And then, Evan, if you just turn it slightly toward me, the gray has the red decking painted on the side. Again, a nice little detail there. All right, let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, so for the bottom, nothing super remarkable as far as like locomotive detail. It's the housing for the motor. There's 3 screws there that you would remove to get inside the locomotive if you needed to service it for some reason. Metal wheels. The wheels have that nice blue detail on the inside where the spokes are, if spokes is the correct term for that on those wheels. And then you've got the Bachmann logoing at the bottom. Okay, let's take it for one more spin. Very nice. The engine is so small that it's hard to get it all focused in on this turntable here, which is more for HO scale. But I didn't mention that the locomotive itself is about 2.5 inches long from tip of coupler to tip of coupler. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, moving on to the coaches. First up is Annie, and this is the coaches that Thomas would typically haul on his routes. So you can see here that it's a pretty true representation of Annie. You've got Annie written right on the side there, as you would expect. They're brown colored coaches. You got some black framing down here at the floor area. There's single axle trucks. The wheels are metal, but the framing, the car itself is made of plastic. You've got some door detail here. None of this is functional. It's all just kind of detail that's molded into the plastic. So you got some windows. There's no detail inside the car. So the windows are slightly fogged so that you're not really tempted to look into the car, I guess. And then on this side of the roof, you can see that there's some vent details right up there on the roof. All right, let's give it a turn. Okay, so from this end here, you can see the Annie's face. I think it looks tired, but anyway, yeah. And then you've got the 2 little windows here on the either side of the face. You got the J coupler, the black buffers with the little red trim behind them, so that's kind of a nice paint detail. And again, kind of a slightly arched roof line there at the end. So let's continue to spin. Okay, so this side of Annie is basically a mirror image of the opposite side. Annie written across the midpoint of the length of the car. Metal wheels, the whole thing. And then on this side here, that vent work also carries to this side of the car as well, the vent work on the roof. And as we continue around, the backside of Annie here, you can see, again, black buffers with a red trim. There, again, a nice paint detail. On this end, you have more bracing, for the car construction. Of course, there's no face in the back, just that. So, yeah, so that's it. Let's take a look at the top and the bottom. All right, looking at the top here, you can see the kind of off-white colored roof there, and then you can see these vents along the top on both sides of the roof, which is a nice detail. And then on the bottom, there's no great detail to speak of here. It's just the black flooring, and then the metal wheels, plastic trucks, single axle trucks, and then you've got the Bachmann logo and a little part number there. So. And that's Annie. We'll give it one more spin. Okay. Okay, so we won't spend as much time on Clarabelle as we did on Annie because these two coaches are identical except for the face and the name. So here we'll just point out that the car says Clarabelle at the midpoint of the coach. So that's a nice detail there. And as we spin, let's take a look at the face. And there's Clarabelle's face. So here we have, again, the buffers with the red paint trim, J-hook, J-coupler, and then the little side windows there on either side of the face. So that's the main difference between Annie and Clarabelle. I should point out here that if we put Annie next to Clarabelle, you'll see here the faces are actually identical here. So the only real difference between these two coaches is the names on the side. One says Annie, one says Clarabelle. We'll give Clarabelle a quick spin. All right, so here is Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle all together. Give you a nice close look of that. So this, again, as we said earlier, we bought this as a set. It comes with a round, it comes with the N-scale track that makes a circle, and it comes with a power pack, and what you see here as far as locomotive and rolling stock, so Thomas and Annie and Clarabelle. We'll be running this on our regular N-scale layout a little bit later. Okay, so next up is Percy. So Percy was not purchased with a set. Percy was purchased individually, and on Amazon, if you were to buy him today, it would be about $98 for this N-scale Percy from Bachmann. So let's go through the details here. So working from the back to the front here, Percy has the typical green paint scheme that I'm sure everybody is used to. There's some red detailing here along the side of the decking and some red detailing over the boiler. He's number 6 with the yellow number 6 with the red outline on the number. And you can see here there's a little coal bunker in the back, which is kind of trimmed with some black plastic there. Nice little detail here, this little ladder to access the cab. Some utility boxes, and then you see the green piston with the red trim there. So yeah, so a lot of nice little detail here. Another detail here is on the connecting arms. You can see that this is kind of offset here. So as Percy goes down the track, you'll see this arm here moving back and forth as this arm rotates around the drive wheel. So that's kind of a cool detail. From this angle here, you can probably see some of the domes here, the nice brass on the dome. And then these whistles are actually individual features molded right into the boiler, whereas on Thomas they were kind of molded into the front of the cab. They didn't stand alone; they were just kind of molded in there. And then you've got the chimney with the slightly, short, lower diameter, smaller diameter boiler there. So, yeah, this is really a nice looking N-scale locomotive. So let's give it a turn. Okay, so looking at the front here, of course, we can see Percy's face. And like Thomas, these N-scale Bachmann locomotives, the eyes don't move back and forth when the locomotive is on the layout, running on the layout. They're just static. But a lot of good detail up here. You can see the red bumper with the black buffers with a nice black paint job at the end there, nice little detail, and the J-coupler. And then you've got your lantern posts, as you do with Thomas, with one lantern on the left. And then some like some mechanics up here on the bumper here, like I think that's a hook, if I'm seeing that correctly, and then an air hose or some other, whatever that mechanic is. Yeah, and then if you can see further back here, you got the porthole windows, which are outlined in yellow, and then of course the slightly arched roof. As we continue around, Okay, opposite side is pretty much a mirror image of the other side. You know, you've got the same details here. Utility boxes on the deck here kind of stand out to me as a nice little detail. Of course, the number 6. This, again, you can see this piston, these connecting arms here, you can see it kind of straight, so you might get a better look at those. But you'll get a look at them when we take them out on the layout, how they look when they operate. Yeah, chimney, whistles, great detail. Okay, looking at the back, you'll see here there's the coal bunker in the back, and there's a nice coal detail here. You know, you can see kind of the coal kind of sparkling up there, which is kind of cool. You know, it makes the little individual pieces, as it were, kind of stand out nice. And then the hint of the little porthole windows back there. I believe those are windows. You know, so they can look back. And then there is a rear-facing lamp. It's not a functioning lamp. It's just you know, just a molded detail in there. And then some mechanics along the back, a utility hook. You know, a air hose or whatever that mechanic might be, J coupler, and the buffers, red bumper with the black tips painted on those buffers. Okay, and if I didn't mention it before, he's a little under 2.5 inches, probably just a tick under 2.5 inches in length from coupler tip to coupler tip. So let's take a look at the top and bottom. So looking at the top here, you can see some nice brass detailing here on the various domes and whistles. You can see the chimney, curved roof, the nice pinstriping across the top of the boiler. And the coal bunker in the back. Get a better look at that. Yeah, let's take a look at the bottom. So that you like that more. Okay, so the bottom, there's not a ton to see here. There's 3 screws that you know, you would unscrew if you had to access the inside for, you know, servicing the you know, the internal parts. But you get the nice metal wheels with that green trim there on the inside of the wheel, the hub of the wheels there, which is kind of nice. And then you can see the linkage there. Maybe get a better look at that linkage, which is kind of nice. And then you get the Bachmann logo on the bottom as usual. So yeah, pretty good, pretty nice. Okay, let's give N-Scale Percy one more spin. And there's Percy. Okay, moving on to the N-Scale Troublesome Trucks. So yeah, for N-Scale trucks, these rolling stock, these have actually quite a bit of detail on them. Starting here on the side, you can see like a lot of the bracing work is included here. It's kind of two-tone gray, so the planks are the lighter tone, and then the bracing, the ironwork is the darker tone. We've got some nice detail down here in the truck area where you see all the brake mechanics and things like that, and the suspension, all in gray. It's metal wheels, the rest of it is all in plastic, and this would be a 7-plank open wagon style, used for hauling things like slate and coal and kind of, you know, that type of bulk materials. Inside, you can see, we'll take a look inside, but inside, you know, the planking detail carries over on the inside, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so that's some nice detail here. Let's give it a turn. Okay, so as we turn and look at the face, this is Troublesome Truck number 1. And I just wanted to mention here that the face reproductions on these are pretty consistent between this N scale, its counterpart in HO scale, and its counterpart in G scale. So that's really kind of nice that these N scale, these tiny little N scale ones, reproduce these faces so so faithfully. So yeah, so it's again, we've got the ironwork detail here, some bracing under the faces that you might be able to see there, J couplers and a couple of buffers with the tips painted black, and the kind of the supporting posts out behind those buffers are gray. So all right, let's give it a turn. Okay. Yeah, so the opposite side of the Troublesome Truck is a mirror image of the other side. So again, you get the nice detail down here with the brake mechanics and suspension and all that, and then the cross bracing, diagonal bracing for the side of the truck. Yeah, very nice. As we move to the back, this is obviously the other end of the Troublesome Truck, the faces at that end. We just have, again, the planking detail and then the bracing detail and the ironwork here on the end, J coupler and the buffer ends there. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. As I said earlier, as we look inside here, you can see the detailing. There's like nice planking detailing on the inside. And then on the walls, if you can tip that up, so we can see the walls, top or bottom, whatever. You can see the planking on the side. Just really nice, nice follow through, I guess, on the detail. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, the bottom there you can see the mechanics that you could see. The detail of these mechanics are more, the brake mechanisms and all that are more appreciated from the side. But from the bottom, they look pretty cool. There's no real, detail on the bottom except for the Bachmann logo stamped into the floor, the bottom of the floor of the truck, the Troublesome Truck. And you can see here metal wheels, screws if you have to, replace any of the parts here. So, yeah. And if I didn't mention it earlier, the length of the Troublesome Truck is about 2 inches from coupler tip to coupler tip. Okay, so let's move on to Troublesome Truck number 2. Okay, so this is Troublesome Truck number 2. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this, only because these trucks are basically identical except for the faces, but we do want you to get a look at the individual faces on these trucks. So why don't we give it a turn, and we'll look at the face. If I didn't mention it earlier, these trucks are about $24 a piece on Amazon. Okay, so good. Okay, so there's the face of Troublesome Truck number 2. And again, like I said, the rest of the details are all identical to Troublesome Truck number 1. Okay, so here's Percy with both Troublesome Trucks attached. Give you a good look at that. And yeah, let's go take Percy and the Troublesome Trucks and Thomas and Annie and Clarabelle out on the layout for a run.